guys, happy Sunday and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Alex. Welcome. We're so happy to have you. We've had lots of new subscribers recently. Thank you all so much for joining our DIY community. I'm so excited to have you all here and to share my projects and home makeovers with you. This week we are in the kitchen and we're going to be doing a really fun DIY that I'm super excited to share with you guys. It's one that I have really been looking forward to doing, so I hope that you enjoy it too. We are going to be making some DIY soap. This is going to be a really fun, relaxing, easy process. We're going to be using a pre-made soap base, so you don't have to worry about doing any complicated calculations. So our recipes are going to be really simple. Anyone can do them. They're going to be really quick. This is something that I have done once before on the channel, and we made 2 soaps for Christmas as gifts, and they were a huge hit with my family and friends. I've had people requesting more soaps since then. So I want to try out some new recipes, and hopefully you all will enjoy doing this as much as I do and give it a shot yourself. Today we're going to make 6 different kinds of soap. Of course, you can pick and choose which ones you want to do. If you want to do any at all, maybe you're just here to kind of watch and chill and relax. That's totally cool too. So the soaps that we're going to make today are going to be an olive oil and lavender soap, a bentonite clay soap, charcoal soap, apple cider soap, honey soap, and what's called a gardener's hand soap. It's going to be really, really fun. If you're interested in making some soaps with me or just hanging out and relaxing with me, then stick around and watch this video and we're going to get right into it. Alright guys, so the first soap that we're going to be making is the olive oil and lavender soap, and this is obviously going to be a really nourishing and relaxing soap, so it's one that I would definitely recommend using in the bath or the shower, but it could also be used as a hand soap if you wanted to kind of moisturize your hands if you wash dishes a lot or work with your hands or just have particularly dry skin. This would be a really good one to have in your house. We're going to be using 3 things to make this soap. The first thing that we're going to use is our pre-made soap base. This is on Amazon. It comes in 2-pound boxes. It's a goat's milk soap base. You literally just melt it and add what you're going to be using into it. We have 2 1-pound bars of soap. We're just going to, for each of these recipes, chop one of these soap bars up into little tiny cubes so that they melt faster, and then put it into our melting pot to add our ingredients once it's a liquid. The other things that you're going to need are some olive oil, any kind that you have on hand, and then lavender essential oils. And that is it. So super simple recipes. So we're going to start by taking the plastic off of this and roughly chopping it into some cubes so that we can melt it. To melt it, I have this little pot and a long skinny spoon. This is for candle making, but truly it doesn't matter because the soap will just wash out. It's soap, so if you put it in a pot that you already have, you can just wash it out when you're done. I'm going to use this because I have it, but you can use anything that you have on hand. So now that we have our soap on a medium-low heat, we're going to just let it melt a little bit and stir it while it does that, and then we'll be able to add in our olive oil and lavender. Alright guys, so while this continues to finish up melting, I have my little scale and we're going to measure out how much olive oil we'll need. So I'm just going to put this on and then reset it so it's at 0, and then we can just pour our olive oil. Okay, so our soap is all melted and ready to go, so we're going to pour our olive oil and lavender into the soap mixture and just turn the heat off for now, and then we can turn it back on when we make some more soaps. Let's pour our little olive oil in. So let's see what this looks like. That's where I'm going to leave it. If you want to add more olive oil, you totally can. I think this will be plenty for a ½ pound of soap. So if you're doing a whole pound, then you can just double this or play it by ear. do what looks right. You don't want it to be like completely oil. You want it to be kind of like a 50-50. So the next thing that we're going to do for our lavender and olive oil soap is to add in our lavender essential oil. So I have this one right here. This is just a regular old essential oil from Walmart. If you want to get a fancier one, you can. You could order one on Amazon or just use whatever you have. It's all going to work. I'm completely going off of my senses and adding in how much I think is necessary for it to smell good. A healthy dose of your essential oil, and then mix it up, give it a smell, see if it smells strong enough for you. Your preference of scent is going to be different than mine. So if you add some and it's not strong enough, add some more. If you add some and it's good, then just leave it as it is. So I'm personally going to add a little bit more because I really like lavender. So I don't know how much that was, but I would ballpark it like 40 drops. We mix it all up when it's nice and cohesive and smooth. Then we're going to pour it into our little molds. I have these silicone molds. I think they're super easy to work with because you can just pop them out so you don't have to stress about your soap breaking once it dries. There's all different kinds that you can use, but this is what I'll be using today. Alright, so that made me 4 bars of soap. I do think that one got more olive oil than the others, so be careful with that. We'll see how that one turns out, but the other ones look pretty good. And now we're gonna let this cool and we'll move on to our next soap. And I also have these on hand. They're little lavender buds. If you don't have these, you don't have to use them. I just already had them, so I'm gonna pour a little bit on top of my mixture. Alright, so next up we are going to make the Bentonite clay soap. So I have 1 whole bar of soap, a pound of soap, and we're gonna dump it in. Okay, and then we're just gonna let it melt just like before, stirring it, and then we can add all of our ingredients. Okay, so our soap is now totally melted. We did 1 full block for this one, and we're gonna add our Bentonite clay powder. So there's a lot of different kinds that you can get of Bentonite clay on Amazon or wherever it is you want to buy it from. I already had this one on hand. It's a powder that you can make face masks with. This particular soap is going to be really cleansing and detoxifying because it is a clay mask that's going into it. The one that I'm using is this Indian healing clay. You really don't need much of it. We're only going to be putting 1 teaspoon into our mixture, and the only other ingredient that this requires is the essential oil of your preference. Any scent that you want your soap to have, that's the essential oil that you're going to use. I'm going to be using a peppermint oil. This is the doTERRA one. It's just what I already had at home. I think peppermint oil will be really nice with this one because it is so super cleansing. To have that kind of tingly peppermint feeling I think would go really well. That's what I'm personally going to use. If you want to use something else, you totally can. It's whatever scent or benefit that you would like. So same thing as before, we're just going to add as much as you want for the scent that you like. So I personally like a strong scent, so I'll probably add more than you may want, but that's totally fine. Just modify it to be what you like. Let's see. Okay, that smells really good. I probably did 15 drops in that one, maybe 20. Peppermint is a pretty strong scent, so you don't need to go too crazy with it. And then we're just gonna add 1 teaspoon of our Bentonite clay. Okay, next we're gonna do our charcoal soap. So we are on soap number 3 out of 6. We're gonna use a half of a pound of soap for this. So I already have it chopped and ready to go, and we're just gonna dump it in and let it melt. For our charcoal soap, you're going to need a couple of ingredients, and obviously there are some that you really need to have to make this soap and then some that are optional. So the needs are going to be activated charcoal. I got this big bag on Amazon. You can also get small bags or like little pills that you could break open, but I will link it in case you want to check it out. That is a need because it is a charcoal soap. You're also going to need some essential oil to scent it. I'm going to be using a mixture for this one. You can use one, you can use all all of these. You can use something totally different. It's up to you. I'm going to be using clary sage, sandalwood, and rose. That's the combination that I'm going to do, and it's going to give it kind of like a woodsy scent, which I personally really love. That's my favorite kind of scent. The last thing, which is totally optional, not necessary, it's going to act as kind of an exfoliator, but also just make your soap look pretty. Dried calendula flowers look like this, and we're just going to put them on top to make it look pretty and add some extra exfoliation. We're going to let this melt, and then we'll add in our activated charcoal, essential oils, and we'll top it with our calendula flowers. All right, so while this continues to melt, I'm going to go ahead and put some of our calendula flowers into the soap molds so that when we pour it in, it's going to sit on the top. Because we're only using a half a pound, I think we're only going to make 4 soaps with this, possibly 3. So I'm going to put it in 4, and then we can always take it out of one of them if we need to. I'll do those 2 and 2 over here. So I'm aiming for the smaller pieces in here and just kind of sprinkling it into the base. Alright, so now that it is entirely melted, we're going to add in our essential oils. I'm going to do the main scent as the clary sage because I personally just really love this one. Probably about 10-15 drops. And then sandalwood. I did about 6 drops of sandalwood, and I'll do the same for the rose, about like 5 or 6. There we go. And just smell and see what you think. It smells really good. Next, we're gonna add in our activated charcoal, and we're gonna do about 1 to 2 tablespoons of this. Add and mix and see what you think. If it looks really dark, then you're good. It does take a second to fully mix in, so don't expect it to mix immediately. I will probably do 2 tablespoons. So next we're making the one that I'm personally most excited about. This is one that I think is going to be really cool and have a lot of really good benefits. This is the Gardener's Hand Soap, and this one is a very exfoliating soap. If you're someone that likes to exfoliate your skin or has calluses or something like that, this would be a really good soap for you. I personally really like the feeling of a rougher soap when washing my hands and my body. I like exfoliating, all that kind of stuff. So this is one that I'm really excited to try. So we're going to do a whole bar of the soap base for this. So we're going to do 1 pound. And then our last 2 soaps we're going to do half pounds for. I'm going to dump this whole entire thing into our pot to melt. Uh-oh. Not what you want. Did I do it again? Okay. Alright guys, so for our Gardener's Hand Soap, we're going to be using our clary sage once again, or as always, any scent that you like is also totally fine. We're going to use the same method as before and just put some in and then smell it and see what we think. I'll probably put about 15 to 20 drops. Something like that. Alright, and then when it smells good, we'll go ahead and add our next step, which is going to be some fine grain ground pumice. So this is pumice stone that's been ground up really small so that it's safe to use on your skin. As you can see, it says cosmetic grade. So you really want it to be super fine like this so that it doesn't hurt your skin, just exfoliates it. We're gonna put about 2 tablespoons of this into our soap, but if that seems too much to you or too exfoliating, you can of course always put less, adjust it to be whatever you want it to be. It's your soap. And then with that, we're gonna put 1 tablespoon of our calendula flower. So this is of course optional. It's up to you if you want to use calendula flower, but they do have a lot of really nice benefits. People often drink these in tea. It's also going to add to that exfoliation. Just 1 tablespoon of that, and then we'll mix it all up. Next up is our apple cider vinegar soap. So this is going to be exfoliating because it has that apple cider, which is acidic, but also antifungal and antimicrobial. So this is a really good cleansing. So for this one, you want to have your apple cider vinegar in the fridge cold when you add it to your soap. It's important that it's cold so that it mixes properly. You also are going to use 2 essential oils. Again, like always, use whatever you want. This is just what I'm using. I'm going to use clove and then orange. That's all we're going to need for this one. And then we only have one more soap after this. And then we can let them all cool and see what they all turned out like. All right, so we're going to add our 2 essential oils. I'm going to put about 6 drops of each because they are stronger scents. And then let's mix it up and see how it smells. This one's going to be a really nice like fall scent, which I personally like all year round. But if you want to save this one for fall, I totally get that too. That smells good. And we're going to add our apple cider vinegar. So I've had this in the fridge for the last couple of hours. And we're just going to put about like 1.5 ounces. So just under this 2 mark on here, or you can use your scale. We'll just pour it in. Let's go ahead and mix it up and it'll be ready to pour into our mold. Alright, last one. So let's add our 1/2 pound of soap. So for this honey soap, we're going to be adding vitamin E oil and also some honey. For this recipe, it calls for about 2 to 3 tablespoons of honey and then about 1 tablespoon of vitamin E. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm just going to eyeball this because I really don't enjoy trying to get honey out of a tablespoon scoop or a spoon. I think it's a pain and just not really super necessary. So we're just going to go for it. You can measure it if this bothers you, but I'm just going to see what happens. So I think that's like 1, 2. Cool. We'll call that 3. And then our vitamin E is about 1 tablespoon. That's probably about 1. So we will mix that up, make sure that that honey melts in really nicely, and then we'll be good to go. We can pour it into our molds. A really, really simple soap recipe. Just like all the others, this is super quick and easy. This one only has 2 ingredients. You probably have at least the honey in your house, if not also vitamin E, one that you could make pretty quickly. So when it's all mixed in, you don't feel any honey sticking, then we are good to go. And we'll pour this into our soap base. So all of our soaps are done and cooling. Some of them are already cool, but I'm gonna let these sit overnight so that they can completely cool and set into their molds. And then tomorrow we can pop them all out and they'll be good to go. And I'll probably wrap some up to give as gifts to friends and family that were asking about these. I will say that I think that I put too much olive oil in the olive oil soap one. When I made it before, it was just lavender. The olive oil lavender was a new recipe for me, and I would probably suggest doing half the olive oil that I did. What are you gonna do? Live and you learn, right? What I did to kind of remedy the situation was to pour some of the olive oil that had settled on the top out. They were fine after that. It wasn't the end of the world. It just was too much olive oil settled on the top. So you can see right here, these 3 are the olive oil and they're totally good to go. Crisis averted. I'll put a note earlier in the video that you'll see that tells you to do less than what I did, but if you didn't notice it, just so you know, that's what I would recommend. And if you made the same mistake as me, then that's how you fix it. Not a big deal at all. This is super low stress DIY. So if you make a mistake like that, don't worry. It can always be fixed. And worst case scenario, truly you can put the soap back into the pot and boil it down and just put it back in the mold again and it'll be totally fine. Just so you know, that's what happened. So we will leave these overnight and then tomorrow we'll pop them all out. I'll show you what they're looking like and we'll be all done. Alright guys, well that wraps up this week's video. I hope that you enjoyed making some DIY soap with me and trying out some new recipes. I think that they all turned out really well. It's a little bit of trial and error when you're making a new recipe and working with something that you've never done before. I hope that you give these soap recipes a try. If you do, leave me a comment. Let me know which ones you tried or which ones you plan to try. Also, if there's anything else that you would like to see from me, other soap recipes or DIYs that you're interested in seeing me do or something like that, I love hearing from you guys and seeing what it is that you want to see so that I can share things that we both enjoy and we can work on projects together. So if you enjoyed this week's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more videos like this. I put out new videos every single Sunday and we do all different kinds of things from DIYs to thrift and antique hauls to thrift flips to home makeovers. Everything home decor related happens here on this channel. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure that you join our DIY community. We would love to have you. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.